way down to London to see Pearl Davis. Obviously, she came on the Piers Morgan show, and I'd not heard of Pearl before, but subsequently we've back and forth on socials, and they've got some interesting recording spaces and some projects going on down in London. So popping down this morning to see her. In the midst of that, hope to get into how we can shine a light on, you know, the kind of good things that women are doing in the game of football, and obviously further our conversation, you know, about the debate about women in the men's game. So that'll be interesting. Hopefully we get to see their setup. I know she had an interview with Alex Jones last week, so she's clearly doing really, really well in this space. Be interested to see how they're capturing content and how they're producing their content. Always willing to learn there, and you know, relatively new to this kind of social media, YouTube, podcasting space. So it would be nice to see people who are already established and how they do things. What's that?
Can you name it?
I know it, yeah. Do you want to know
Okay.
what? Do you want to see the flag first and try and guess it from the flag, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, then.
I told you there was green and yellow and blue on it.
Begins with a G.
You found it?
Ooh, nearly, no. Sounds like if someone's talking too much, like I obviously don't do that, but obviously if someone's talking too much, you say, or two people are talking, you say, they're having a right old chinwag, a right old
Gag.
Ooh.
Gag away. Gag away.
Gab on.
I know.
From Gabon.
Nice to meet you. This is Christine.
Joey, nice to meet you. Alright, so this is your son, Cassius.
I'll show you guys the
Come on.
studio.
Come on. See, we're just starting out. How many cameras are you using? God. So you recorded all your stuff from here?
Yeah, I'll give you a tour.
There's
Cool.
quite a few studios in here.
Yeah, this
So
is
how long have you
Blessing,
been doing
my
this?
producer.
How long have you been into it? Like,
It's been 2 years,
Okay.
so yeah. So I'm like, I basically started my channel 2 years ago, and I would bring men and women to like talk about relationships, culture, whatever it was.
Okay.
It exploded pretty fast. Like I got like 1 million subscribers in a year, and I was here to play volleyball. So I was just here to play, and then it just kind of took off.
okay.
And so then we started like a network. So Christine is signed to the network, and then there's 2 other talents that come in, and they'll.
So my family were all, have you ever heard of like the Cream classics, Cream anthems, Ibiza? So that's all our family. We never went into that. Obviously that's one side of the family. We had a big nightclub in Liverpool, which has ended up becoming like a really big brand in like Ibiza and all over the world for like music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we were obviously the football side. Me, Josh and Noah all played football. Obviously our
Mm-hmm.
dads and uncles did the same. But we've always had a real interest in music and culture. And then these
You
have been
guys
saying to
sing
me
or
for
what?
a while. No. Far from it. No, I'm so
I was
bad.
like, we could duet or
So
something.
we were thinking about doing like a desert act, like almost with our show, like, because I think when people are talking, it can get quite heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes just listening to music, sometimes people realise, oh my god, like actually we've got the same. We totally
Yeah.
disagree
Yeah.
socially,
Yeah.
but like actually really agree
Mhm.
musically. So like it can break down barriers. So we're going to try and do something in that space in terms of a collaboration with kind of between lifestyle, football or sport and music,
Okay.
and hoping to challenge some bigger societal kind of problems that we see. You know. Anything happens, the hospital's when you're there. So if any of your podcasts go wrong,
Or he is so well behaved. Your son.
Well, he knew you. So him and Noah, they were like, "That's Pitt," and I was like, "Who's Pitt?" They were like, "This, she does this in this space." And as I say, I've not done YouTube, or I don't really know that space.
Yeah.
And they were like, "She's a big fish," she knows. So I was like, she didn't attack. She was like really good there. What a great person. We need to reach out afterwards. So.
I was excited. I was I'm glad
really.
you asked my opinion, Piers. If he brought in like 5 of his friends to see if some soccer players could, like, I'm just assuming if he's your son, he's like amazing. He's got to be like a prodigy.
He's good,
right?
yeah. Oh, you know, don't know.
You you think you could be a team of girls?
How many?
How many are on the field? 11.
11.
11. How many? If you and your friends, you think they could beat it? I just think it'd be the funniest video. She's so annoying.
Yeah.
She just cry me a river. Because I actually know. That's the thing. They have no idea what it takes to even put on a show.
Okay.
I don't know anything. Like, I couldn't put on like a basketball. Like the amount you have to think about the logistics, you have to think about the market. Like, there's so many things you have to think about just to put it on. Mm. And now you're complaining about the pay. Like, you should just be happy to be there.
Yeah, I struggle with an argument on equal pay. I'm not saying if you're good enough, why not? You know, if you're good enough to play in the men's game and be Erling Haaland and score a hat-trick every other week, you should get paid £900,000 a week. Just the fact that you're a woman shouldn't mean that your salary opportunity is limited, but also you've got to be Haaland and do it against the men to get paid. Same way if I want to be in the NFL, I've got to beat Tom Brady or whoever Marshawn Lynch or whatever player you've got to...
Yeah.
We've also had 120 years of the game in this country. 40 years Bristol Rovers were last week. Mm-hmm. Of that, about 70 years of it have been professional, paid professional men fighting for contract strength, fighting for better wages, better working conditions, etc., etc. The women have come in quite late and got all the benefits of all the scraps that the unions, the PFA have made. Yeah. For Megan to ask for equal pay, I'm like, no problem, but you've got to sell tickets out for a year or 10 years or whatever. Yeah. You've got to make sure the marketing and the revenue and the eyeballs are coming like they are in the men's game. And if that's the case and you generate, as you're doing with your YouTube, if you generate the same numbers as a male, you get paid more than the male because you've outworked them in that space. Similarly in sport, it should be the same. Yeah. My main one, sorry, I do the daily show. Some setup you got.
Yeah. And then it's kind of cool too because this goes all the way around. So.
One who has it hard. If you want to live in Fantasyland, then Liverpool, Man United.
Who do you support?
I'm an Evertonian.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
How come?
Made me dad. I'm forced. Forced into it. But I've got 3 boys. Cass is an Evertonian, and my youngest is an Evertonian, but he's only 16 months, so he's not fully aware of that yet. My little girl has been the staunchest Evertonian. Cass had a little wobble, nearly went with Mo Salah to Liverpool, came back. But me little boy Penn, who's 5, is the staunchest Liverpool fan. He's just taken absolute opposite, polar opposite opinion. So I'm not even. But he's become the biggest Liverpool fan. So he's got like Liverpool pyjamas, every Liverpool kit, plays Liverpool songs on the Spotify all the time.
He like hacks my mum's thing, so he has speakers in the thing, and he like connects to it and does blast the Liverpool song on it.
But that causes some household conflicts.
No, I'm cool with it because I know how difficult it is to support Everton for as long as we have. Like it's a real challenge.
Yeah.
But he'll have an easier life and win more trophies and much better players supporting Liverpool. So I wouldn't want to put him through what I've been through as an Evertonian. So I've watched I'm a football anorak. I've watched women's football grow. So I'm like, brilliant, this is great. So
you did charity work?
I didn't work in the women's industry, Pearl. I didn't work there, but I watched it grow. So
Women won't even watch women's football.
And now I'm not allowed to give an opinion for fear of being shouted down as some kind of right-wing loony or some misogynist. I'm like, no, I'm just saying you're shit. Can we not say you're shit? Loads of men are shit as well. If you stop screaming at me, I'll explain to you that I think they're poor as well and they need work. But they just want to shout at you. And that's the world that we live in, isn't it?
Women love shouting at me. I think maybe I'm a bona fide expert in women's football. I'm going to apply tomorrow.
Well, you've played in a season, haven't you? You've got a season in
I played when I was a kid, so I know the corner kicks and stuff.
Okay. So I can't
He's like, we can work with this.
You're overqualified based on what I've seen on the TVs at the minute. Definitely overqualified.
So what made you want to initially speak out about it?
I didn't. I retired at 35 because I got banned for gambling. So they caught an old account I had where I used to do footy coupons, and the FA threw the book at me.
You got banned for gambling?
So I used to be able to gamble on football. So I grew up gambling on football.
Okay.
You know, so I'd go to the betting shop with my granddad at like 13 or 14. I'd put 2 or 3 horses on, and I'd put a football coupon. Football coupon would be, you know, whatever result you felt were going that weekend. It might be, you know, fancy this team to beat that team, and you might have 3 teams in it, you might have 5 teams in it, who knows, but you might say they'll beat them 1-0 and Cristiano Ronaldo will score first goal, you know, and if they won 1-0 and Ronaldo scored first goal, you might get like 16-1 odds.
Okay.
So I used to go with my granddad, and I'd have a horse racing coupon and a footy coupon, a couple of £1, but that was your weekend, and then you watch your results come in, and win or lose on, you know, you'd cry in your roast dinner on a Sunday, or you pick up your winnings on a Sunday, or whichever way it went. And then I started playing football, but I was a gambler before I was a footballer. So I had my own online gambling account then. I won't name the bookmaker, but I had my own online gambling account. And then I became a footballer. And then once I was 24, 25, the Premier League decided to tighten up the betting, like, lads, we could bet on games that didn't involve us, they said.
Okay.
So we couldn't bet on any games we played in, but we could bet on other games. And then after the year, they tightened that up and said, right, you can't bet on in any competition you're playing in.
Okay.
But you can bet on, like, the Spanish League if you don't play in the Spanish League, if you play in the English League. But you can't bet on the European Cup if your team's in the European Cup. So I was betting on all sports right across it, including football. So I'd literally come home from training, sling the TV on, and if
did you know, or like what?
So I knew I was breaking the rules eventually, but when I first started, there wasn't the rules, and then the rules got tightened. But I was kind of like, we're not cheating. No one's trying to fix games here. We're having you're trying to predict sporting outcomes based on the knowledge you've got. But you know,
and so they banned you from the whole league.
So what happened? I went to sign for Glasgow Rangers up in Scotland, and anyway, one of the betting accounts I had was with a group called Paddy Power, who were based in Ireland, who looks like, you know, Republic of Ireland's a huge Celtic heartland. Northern Ireland's a bit more Glasgow Rangers. It's separated on a religious divide. We won't get into that. There's a conversation for another day.
Okay.
And when I was at Rangers, bear in mind I'd had 12 years betting, 13 years betting on these same accounts. In England, no one had ever. So I thought, well, I'm not doing any wrong. I'm just having a footy coupon. Oh, clearly no one's bothered by it. They're looking for match fixers or people who are making money cheating.
Yeah.
You know, fixing games or throwing games, or betting on cards or spot betting, which is where the major money is. So I play in the Rangers Glasgow derby, and then I have a bet after that on Celtic's next game against Barcelona, and it was correct, and I earned only say £2,000. Nothing to do with me. I went playing in the competition. And somebody at Paddy Power picked up on that, give it to the Scottish FA. The Scottish FA then give it to the FA. The FA then looked historically into the bets of that. And I give them all my accounts and said, look, this is what I've bet on. I'm being transparent. These are all my accounts. I've been betting on football. I shouldn't have been betting on football, but I'm a football addict. I'm a football fan. Like, I want to try and predict football. It's the industry I know.
And wait, so they kicked you out for that?
So they banned me for 18 months. And at the time, they had a £12 million sponsor on the front of the England shirts with Ladbrokes, the gambling partner. So I'm like, this is hypocrisy. So I wrote a letter about it, and they eventually reduced me ban on appeal to 9 months because they'd gone too far. I believe it was too harsh. And they had to drop the £12 million sponsor, so I think they were deeply unhappy with that. And since then, you know, amongst other things, I think, you know, I've just said, okay, well, so when you decide to be Jesse James, you know, and I didn't want to be, but they've made me, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this.
No, you just said today that you didn't know we were coming out.
Didn't know we were coming on.
That we were coming out.
So luckily we've recorded it, because I got told, Piers said, I asked the producer, he says, yeah, you're going to come on, Piers going to ask you some questions.
They've ambushed me before too.
So they said, you're going to come on, Piers going to ask you some questions, and then that'll be it. Might be 15 minutes. Yeah, no problem. So we'll go on, and then he sneaks on. There's going to be 3 people. I'm like, who are these? Who is this? So I'm expecting it could be anyone.
Guys, he thought I was going to finish him.
So it did. So it comes on, and it's obviously Bianca with her opinion. I can't remember the other lady's name, but she was Bianca's tag teammate, and it was like a poor karaoke duet. So they've given it to me tight. So I'm like, okay, I don't, I'm going to defend my position because I'm not going to back down here. But let's hear what they've got to say. And then I'm expecting, now they go to you, and I'm like, okay, I don't know this lady, but But you must be, for them to save the best to the last, you must be coming now. I'm getting the flamethrower off here. This is game, set and match for the feminists. And you came on and were on my team, and I was like, oh my God, just like thank you for listening. Like, if I could have hugged you, I'd have reached out and hugged you. But if I'd have been in the studio, I think Bianca would have chopped me bollocks off way before we had the opportunity to
if we were in studio, it would have been so much better, because Bianca's mic was above mine.
Okay.
And like, I felt like hers was like higher. If we were all in
I
studio,
think that was the anger in her voice, you know.
I don't know. I feel like if we were in studio, I could have got.
I believe in radical truth, but also deep down, if I'm honest, none of us really want that. So, for instance, my wife's beautiful woman, in fantastic shape, but if she ever said to me, how do I look in this? And I thought she looked the show, I'd say, I wouldn't wear that if you... Now, she never consults me because she's really glamorous, but if she did, or her arse looked big, and I would say that. I'd try and say it in a way that didn't
nicer.
Didn't offend her. And on the flip side of that, if I was to ask a woman a question, like, Cassius, cover your ears. Like, men sometimes, for whatever reason, you've heard the stories of men who might be in a moment, and am I the best you've ever had? Oh yeah, well, I'm like, what are you going to say? No. Like, they're pot inclined. Like, you can't turn around and say no. Like when you're mid session, But actually, Pearl, if she turned around and went, no, you're like 15th. Like, would you want to hear that also? So do we also want to hear the truth? No, we don't. But also, when it's stuff that does affect society for the negative, I think we have to call it out. So if there was a hole in the sky, there's the famous Leonardo DiCaprio movie, where there's like a hole in the sky and no one's talking about it. Is it, what's it called? Don't Look Up. And like, that's we're in that territory of, can we not say this? Because if we don't say this is like going to crash into the earth and cause a catastrophic event. This is leading to a rise in women facing a barrage of online abuse that they don't need to, because they shouldn't be in a position to even say what they need to say to make themselves a target for this. And it's rising, if we do this, if we carry on down a tokenistic approach, it's going to lead to a rise in racism as well, which is what we don't want. We want to be more inclusive and build bridges. And if we try to be too woke too soon without thinking about it, we're going to cause absolute carnage. And we're already seeing that. I mean, your country's further advanced down the rabbit hole than us, but we are heading down it rapidly. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're sending a fantastic message, Pearl. So honestly, it's empowering, it's inspirational. I was inspired by listening to you, so keep up the good fight, and as I say, great to meet you, and we'll be friends for life.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
No, I enjoyed it, honestly. We can talk about everything. Nice to meet you. So really nice to meet you, and you. Hopefully see you soon.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Keep doing what you're doing, it's inspirational. Really impressed. Obviously, I knew I was going to like her anyway. I knew she was going to be sound because the way she spoke and the way, kind of back and forth with the correspondence. But it was really insightful to see a setup, incredible setup they've got. See, they've been absolutely smashing it on YouTube. Really good back team behind them in terms of the content creation and production. So for me, it was, as I say, fascinating to see. But also a real learning experience. Firstly, how we're going to do in the podcast and in the work we've got to do to get to the high level. But also, she taught me a bit about the suffragettes, and obviously she's an anti-feminist, and I haven't really paid much attention to the anti-feminism angle or the feminism angle. But every day's a school day, and I thought it was a really interesting conversation. And as I say, I think I learned a lot during it, and obviously, she's an impressive young woman, and I think her message is a really good voice in the modern world for people to hear. I'm not saying I agree with her on everything, but also, she believes, and she's done the research, and she's educated, and she's got a strong opinion, and I think she's a breath of fresh air. So great to meet her. She's inspired me in the week that I've known her. She's taught me about the suffragette movement, She's also taught me the word simping or simp, and she's also shown me that you know, you can take YouTube and your message and turn that into you know, obviously a production arm, and you know, they've got a flat in London where they're absolutely owning that podcast YouTube space.